The VC show, let's go, doing the part with Roz. We got the sports on deck for our audience. Whether it's big news, hot topics, updates, straight facts, storytelling, breakdowns, and special guests. VC show, let's go, it's time to turn it out. The VC show, let's go. Welcome to the VC show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. As you know, I'm the host, Vince Carter. Roz is doing what Roz does, as always. She's busy, she's covering the Celtics Heat right now, so we're letting her do it, but I'm holding it down today because why? I have some lady that has hopped on. I don't know how she got this link, but nevertheless, she's on. I call her my mother. Some people know her as Dr. Michelle Carter. I know her as Mom. Hi, Mom. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Thank
Welcome
you
to the
for
show.
having me on your show. It's about time.
Absolutely. Hey, you know what they said? Timing is everything.
Yes.
Timing is everything.
Yeah.
And I think this is a perfect time because you have a book out that you've been doing, The Making of Vince Carter, Basketball Mom's Memoir. I think back to the day you called asking me questions about different parts of it. I'm like, what? And when did that actually start? When did it become a reality?
Well, the whole thought and the concept started many, many years ago. As your celebrity grew, as your the things you were doing were successful, people would come up to me and say, well, how did you all do this? And how did you decide to do that? And at some point, it almost seemed to me like people thought there was some kind of magic wand, and I just waved it over your head, and all of a sudden, you're Vince Carter, 8-time NBA All-Star, slam dunk champion, rookie of the year, yada, yada, yada. And I said, we're no different from other families, whether your child is trying to be successful in sports or in entertainment or in science or anything. They're not born knowing which route to take and what to do. They have to learn. Parents have to learn because, in this business, I'd never been down this road before. So people would tell me, you need to write a book. You should write a book. And I mean, people have been saying this to me because you had such a long career in the NBA. People have been saying this to me 10, 15 years. And I kept thinking about it. I said, well, yes, I probably need to do that. But of course, life happens. You get busy. And I had a whole lot of other stuff going on, because I run the foundation and all this kind of stuff. And actually, COVID in 2020 helped me to just settle down and write.
I think COVID helped a lot of people
Right.
to figure out a lot of things about themselves and giving them something to do.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't know anything about this COVID. And, the speculation early on was, okay, this will be around for a few weeks, couple of months. And it just went on and on and on. And, trying to stay healthy, trying to stay out of other people's way, how I am about eating out in restaurants every day. So I had so much time on my hands. The events that I would normally go to, of course, all of those were canceled. The events that we would have with our foundation and things and basketball camps, all of that was canceled. So in that time to take up some of that space, I said, well, this is as good a time as any to start on this book.
I looked through the pictures, first and foremost, and I just, man, they bring back memories because it's like every picture I look at, from being the patrol to playing at the rec to the picture with the red shorts on, to that one volleyball picture I took. I had I had the glasses on, and I remember taking it. It was like, hey, we need to get a picture of you real quick because I was playing at the time. I was in band, volleyball, and basketball, rushing,
Right.
and that's when that picture was taken. So we just because they needed something for the yearbook. I remember the band, like I remember them all. It's cool seeing R.C. Buford's letter. That's the one from R.C. Buford, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, with the Spurs. But man, let me tell you, going forward back here, when I look at you know, the picture of Automola and I, and Automola Antoine and I. Um, I remember that, but looking at, and I remember the Olympic. Like I said, every picture I look at, it's just, a memory comes about. Like being a part of all of this was just pretty cool. But the one that kind of gave me chills, man, was that picture of Stu with Stuart Scott and I, because you just a couple of days ago talked about how you heard the interview I did with Rich Eisen,
Rich Eisen, yeah.
and Rich, we talked extensively about Stuart Scott and about this moment, graduation
Yes.
day, and how he spoke at the commencement. And I mean, I remember the picture, us sitting there talking. That's like kind of right before it, or during the downtime of before it was showtime, and starting our day of a busy day,
Right.
if you would. And then this picture of Stuart just kind of all the time just gives me chills, because like I told Rich, it was refreshing but motivating hearing what he said to me right before, but mostly after, how proud and how he was in the fight with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a uncle, and that's just kind of how he was. Obviously he's a Tar Heel to the core. For those who don't know him or do know him, you know how much he loved his Tar Heel. If you read his book, um, it talks a lot about obviously his life, where he mentions the Tar Heels, and there again, he gave me a shout out in his book, which was pretty darn cool as well. I mean, to that picture of the the Coke 0400, that picture, we laugh about it as a family, because that picture I see on my face was total fear
Well, first
when I
of
took that
all,
picture.
when you signed up to or accepted the invitation to be the pace car driver, you didn't know. I didn't know, because all of those kinds of requests come through my desk, and then I come to you and see what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. Nowhere in all of that did we know the car was stick shift, and you had never
Oh
driven a
man,
stick shift. And I say
no.
to people today, I say, my parents taught me how to drive a stick shift in the parking lot of the mall in Miami, Northside Mall in Miami. Who learns how to drive a stick shift at the Speedway, inside the Daytona
So
500 Speedway?
I'm gonna tell that story.
You did that run through, and that's how
Here's
you
one of our
learn how to
story
drive
times,
a
good
stick.
people. I'll give a story time to that. So the story goes, the request was, being in Daytona, meaning the Daytona 500, which we all know, and how historic, you know, the race
Yeah,
the
and that
racetrack
race,
is there.
that was the Colt 400 that you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I got the
that's the Daytona
opportunity to
500.
do
Yeah.
the Coke 400, which is prior to the 500, and I was asked to be the pace car driver. So I was like, okay, cool. A little nervous. You know anything about the races, it's like, yes, cars go around and around and around fast. Okay, cool. I remember driving in there. This is the first day, so it was kind of the day before. You're meeting everybody, kind of getting the lay of the land. They're going through all of all of the information. You meet the guy and you see the picture. I met the guy who I was driving with. We were going to take a practice run, the whole nine. They started talking, and I remember first seeing this new Camaro. This is when the Camaro was coming out, and the car. When they opened the door, I sit there. I was like, "Sir, is it possible that we can get, an automatic?" Because I've never ever I never even thought about driving,
Right.
a stick shift. Okay, so he's like, "Oh, yeah, this is what they sent. We'll see what we can do. I'm pretty sure we can." Okay, so we're going around. I'm like, "Ooh, this is not going to be good." So we go around. We didn't drive that day. I remember calling Derek, who worked for a car dealership, because later, after it was all said and done, they told me that they could not get one in time.
Right.
You talking about terrified the day before? Like, I didn't sleep well after that. So I remember calling Derek, who worked at a car dealership, to see if he can get me, I don't care if it was any car. I learned how to drive a stick shift the night before the Coke 400 in front of 250 plus thousand people. Mm-hmm. This, one of the second biggest race that's in that Daytona, that comes around in Daytona. I mean, obviously the Daytona 500 is obviously end all be all, but the Coke 400 is right there.
Right.
So I am literally this is like from early evening through the night. I'm driving up and down my street, trying to get comfortable driving or feeling comfortable with the stick shift, understanding this. Now, this is outside of the anxieties of doing this.
Right.
Okay. And thinking about everything he told me, I remember telling me, straightaways are easy, they're fine. And kind of the one must do's, if you would, was on the turns, on the high embankment. I had to keep at least 55 miles an hour, which gets you kind of up midway through of the embankment. Obviously, you're the pace car driver, so you can't go 75, 100 miles an hour. You have to kind of keep it around the 55, 60 at best. And then he says, anything below that, the car will slide, tend to slide down, and you could possibly tip over. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So now the night before, I'm worried about making sure the car doesn't jerk the whole, I'm nauseous and, all of this. I'm trying to make sure it's a smooth transition, as you know, because for me, I think the hardest is from getting into first. To me, was the most difficult.
Yeah.
So fine, I get there. I do a practice run. He brings the car. He leaves the car over. I do a practice one, a couple of runs in the morning, and then I get there, and I see all these people, and I remember getting in that car, and when I sat in the car, you can remember this, because I have such big feet, I could not drive the car with my shoes on because they kept bumping each other.
Right.
And getting stuck under the little piece of, that's under the, above the pedals. They kept getting stuck. So I wasn't able to shift and do it smoothly for me.
Yeah.
So I did this with no shoes on. I took my shoes off, threw it in the back seat. And I took this picture and I had that look, and I remember sitting there and my heart was beating so fast, so hard, and so loud. I had the headphones on. The guy was saying something to me and I couldn't hear him. Like, my heart was beating so loud in my headset.
Yeah.
It's just like he was like, but he was actually talking to me. And I couldn't have, because I was not nervous. I wasn't uncomfortable. I was scared. I was terrified. So I took it off and he was like, yeah, y'all, you ready to go? I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. So we take the picture, get in the car. So now I'm just like, smooth drive. Come on, you can do it. Just like we practiced, whatever, go. It was all good. I got started and then we stopped and he was talking to me. He's like, oh, by the way, this is when I knew it was going to be bad. And here's the funny part of the story. He says to me, Jimmy Johnson, I'll never forget, who was the number one car on my left. He says to me, sometimes, the guys like to joke and play, funny jokes and bump or tap the front of the car. Particularly, Jimmy Johnson. I say to him, sir, this is my first time and you want this to go smooth. I said, if he taps me in the back, you might want to tell somebody, if he taps me in the back, this race will start early because I will pull over. I'm off the road. Because if he taps me, it's just like in an automatic car, it's not that much to think about. Keep it under the control, whatever. This is my second day. My second day doing this. So it's like, okay, if he hits me and I need to speed up or slow down, do I downshift? It's just a lot to think about. So the anxiety of seeing all of these people, I'm in control of the start of the Coke 400 that is on TV that people are watching.
I
So I'm
remember
worried
you
about
said to me, you said, Mom, I can't mess this up. Do you realize this is their Super Bowl?
this is the Super
You
Bowl.
kept saying, this is their Super Bowl. I said, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, so I'm worried about that, and then I'm worried about the embankment. I'm like, okay, don't embarrass yourself. You're on live TV. You don't go fast enough, you go tipping over. So I just, I was remember just going up and my car swerving down and up, and we finally got there, and I never felt more relieved getting around that track and seeing that exit
Pull off to
and
the
and
right.
and pull, oh man, and pull it off to the side. And I just said, sir, y'all can have this car. I'm gonna leave it right here. And I haven't been in a stick shift since. Not me driving, but I just see that and it just makes me laugh, and good memories. Why should you bet with Caesars Sportsbook? 2 words: Caesars Rewards. Every bet brings you closer to the types of benefits only Caesars can offer: hotel stays, VIP experiences, sports and concert tickets, and more. It's not just an app; it's an empire. Did you know YouTube TV is more than cable for less than cable? That's right. YouTube TV has no long-term contracts or hidden fees. And it even lets you catch up to the live game with key plays. With a lineup of over 100 channels, you can watch live TV like cable. Signing up is simple. Get started in minutes and you can watch all the action of the NBA Finals live on ABC. So what are you waiting for? Try it free today at youtube.com/NBA23. New users only. Terms apply. Cancel anytime. Kick your feet up, you can find us on all platforms. In that form, so be the hottest on them platforms. Your family now, got you listen to what we talking about. The VC show, let's go, it's time to turn it out. The VC show, let's go,
Now we're going to transition into basketball and what's been going on in the playoffs. I know you've been watching the playoffs. We talk, we text back and forth about plays, about situations, good, bad plays, what's going on. Yeah, obviously, your thoughts, my thoughts about it. So we'll start, obviously, Denver Lakers being swept. Coming into the playoffs, I said, whoever won their matchup between Jokic and Anthony Davis would win the series because of what will come off of that. Meaning, Jokic, you once if he's going in 1-on-1, you have to double team. He's such a great passer. He makes plays for everyone. Then there's Jamal Murray. So now I said the duo. If the individual matchup, if he's winning his matchup, good things can happen. If Jamal Murray and Jokic, are dominating, that means they're dominating the duo of Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Then it's like, who will be the X factor? Because even if the duos cancel each other out, we always know it's an X factor. It's an X factor to it. Just somebody else that's going to step up
it
to
was Jordan.
And see, for me, I said Michael Porter Jr. was the guy that needed to have a great series because of his ability. He's 6'10", he can score, he could do a little bit of everything. Defensively, okay, that's not what he does. He's an offensive threat. That's what he does. And I felt like if he is knocking down shots, it opens the floor up because now it's a third guy you have to account for. Little did I know, KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Aaron Gordon, he didn't, obviously his numbers wouldn't wow you. He still shot above 50%, maybe even in the 60s. And he had a great game 4. But I thought what he did defensively, like his job was to contain. I would dare not use the word stop or shut down. Contain LeBron James, make it tough for him, wear him down. And I thought he accomplished that goal. And yes, some will say, well, he dominated him in the first half. Yes, he did. Yes, LeBron did. But what he did, he made it tough for him. Every basket that LeBron had to get, he had to beat him. It wasn't just jab and jump shot. He had to work hard for it. And I thought, yes, you have to kind of take the punishment, take the beating in the first half. LeBron had 31. LeBron was going.
he exerted a lot of energy to do so because he wanted to keep his team afloat. And that's the greatness of LeBron, man. Like, he deserves all the credit. And you can, people say, oh, but we started to see the decline. Okay, the man is 38 years old, has logged in a lot of minutes, and some days are going to be better than others. It's the reality. This man has done it all year. He played a lot of minutes all year, whether it's when he was hurt or when he was not hurt and he was just trying to keep his team afloat. I thought he was playing. I mean, he was playing in the high 30s, low 40s. Like, that's a lot of minutes. And it's all great, and he's bionic and all of that. But when would it kind of catch up to him as far as wearing him down? And fatigue started to set in. That's why I thought Anthony Davis was so huge in this series, because he needed to be alpha dog one. That's one thing I've said on TV all the time. He needs to be the go-to guy. No, give me the damn ball. LeBron, you chill out. And then their X factor, I said Austin Reaves. That man showed up and showed out. Shout out to Austin Reaves. And Rui Hachimura was great. And the last thing, and I'll give it to you. Those four guys that I just named played great. Denver just played better. Like, if you look at matchups, Anthony Davis played very well. I mean, he had the 42-point night, but Jokic had a 35-point triple-double. LeBron James played pretty darn good. Jamal Murray was very good. Austin Reaves played very good. Michael Porter Jr., played great. Plus KCP, plus Bruce Brown, plus Rui Hachimura. So it just, whatever the Lakers did, it was offset by the great play of the Denver Nuggets, and they deserve all the credit in the world. Were they disrespected by many? Yes. Disrespected by many? Yes. They were the number one seed coming in, but it's just like, I want people to understand, it wasn't more disrespectful, more so than they've been in this situation before and didn't get over the hump. They weren't able to. And it's more so, can they do it? You're just going off of trend. Yes, we see what we see. It's like, oh, yes, they were good. Regular season. But playoff is a different beast. What were your thoughts on the sweep? I know I said a lot there.
Well, first of all, I like to say, with the Lakers, for them to even be in the Western Conference Finals, based on where they started the season,
I'll give it to you. 2-10, and they were 13th in the West.
Yeah, it's commendable. With that being said, I often hear people say LeBron is superhuman, he's bionic, he's this, he's that. LeBron is a stellar athlete, but he is human. And he is 38. And, you can dig that ditch and dig that ditch and dig that ditch. You're eventually going to get tired. Or, that 31-point first half, well, you ain't got a whole lot left in the tank for the second half.
And that's why you need your other guys to kind of step up. You need Anthony Davis to step up to take the ring.
So, and then Gordon, I think he was averaging like 9 points. And then he had that stellar game 4, and he was doing, defending LeBron. You can't expect me to be,
when you're dealing with that type of
both sides of the ball.
When you're dealing with that type of dude,
that's not human. Okay, so you needed Anthony Davis to be over the top outstanding.
And
he
aggressive.
was great, but he needed to be over the top outstanding, and he wasn't. And that's the difference.
Yeah, and like I said, I thought LeBron did what we expected him to come out aggressive early, and I wanted to see Anthony Davis say, "Okay, tag, I got it. You're tired. You gave us a half.
Yes.
Third quarter, I got it. Tag. Yes. Particularly when he saw that, we could, visibly see LeBron had, gassed out. Like he was like, I need a moment here. And, I respect LeBron going, they talk about the foot injury and he needs surgery or whatever. That man played all but 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And he still gave them what he had, and he set the tone for everyone else. It just like I said, they just ran into a very tough team.
And to me, it's like, every time I see him bring the ball down court, it's like this man is the eighth wonder of the world. A man that size with those handles and could pass. And I mean, it's like, what?
And here's the crazy thing about it. Every time he would get the rebound and start the break, like it didn't look like a bloop, bloop. It wasn't like, slow. He was moving up to where you can see defensive sprinting back to get in front of the ball. It's like you're taught to sprint
He
back.
did it with confidence. Like, this
That's
is
what I'm saying.
I do.
Like I'm gonna make you have to sprint back. It is what he does. But like it's just like that's something that the sprinting back is usually when your guards get the ball. It's a long outlet. You got to get back. No, you're getting back because the point center, is in a dead sprint with the basketball. Like that's not Jayson Kidd.
He's gonna take it coast to coast, and that's gonna really look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you buying? This is the talks today all across TV, and obviously his post game interview. Are you buying LeBron considering retirement? Like I know what I'm thinking, but what are your thoughts on that? Like, did you see the post game interview?
Yeah. Here's my thoughts on that. Obviously, LeBron was very emotional. You just played your heart out, and you came up short. So obviously, he's emotional. For anybody, whether it's a basketball player, whatever it is, after going through that emotional stress, and to make such a big decision immediately after that, I'm not buying it. LeBron, go take a couple of vacations with your family, or walk with your family, walk with your boys, have a good time, refresh and renew, then talk about that.
Which he did not. So he didn't do interviews today with the team.
Yes,
So yeah, okay. So he's taking the right steps. The organization is doing the right thing, just giving them space because, like you say, LeBron is accustomed to going to the finals. He said it.
Yes.
I don't get excited about this. I mean, and it's a flex, but it's the truth.
Right.
You rarely don't see in 20 years. You don't not see him in the finals of some sort. So it's more an annoyance that he could not get it done for his team. I know that. You can see it. It's like, I don't want to answer these questions. I don't know. I mean, I didn't get it done. That's LeBron's thinking. So I don't think he's contemplating. I just don't think he's contemplating. He's just keeping us on edge. Yeah. I just got you right here till I'm ready to tell you what I want to tell you.
And you got to give it to him. It's a hell of a soundbite.
Yeah, and he knows that.
Everybody now is talking about it.
Yeah, he knows that, and that's the point. And to me, that is the point. He wants to give us something to talk about. The Lakers are out, but we're going to still talk about LeBron James and his decision. And shout out to him because he knows his power, the power that he has, and what comes out of his mouth. It's gonna start these storylines. And the other thing about that is he has talked about him wanting to play with his son. So his son is getting close. Is he good enough to go one and done? We'll see, and to make it happen. I don't know. So yeah.
My thought on that too. I mean, it's nice to say that, and okay, if he can play with his son, that would be great. But the power that you have to make that happen, you're on a team. Your son, you gotta navigate him being on the same team. I mean, that's a lot of power.
You can do it. Just so you know. I don't know if you know. You can do it. And then think about this. I'm gonna say this, particularly how if Bronny is not a high draft pick,
yeah.
If he's not a lottery pick, I mean, I don't know where they're gonna fall in the draft. So I'm just saying, if he's not a guaranteed top 5 pick, where he can go, like it could possibly happen. So, I mean, they can move up the draft, use I don't know what assets they have and all of that stuff, but they can manipulate it. Or if he doesn't get drafted at all.
Yeah, that's my point. Depending on what the situation is, there's a lot of pieces that's got to move for that to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you're LeBron James, but you got that kind of power to maneuver that. So, I mean, that's a whole nother chapter in that discussion.
Lastly, I was going to say about LeBron is I want to mention is that I think about, for me, when I said 2020 was going to be my last year, and I said it, but I didn't believe it. Let me rephrase it. I said it, but I wasn't sure. And I think LeBron is kind of going through those situations like, okay, when he's talking through this, like in real time.
Yes.
Because that's what I was doing.
Yes.
I was literally for 5 years, maybe longer, talking
8 years.
through it. Whatever. I was literally talking through it in real time. It's like, you always like, oh, when's it over? I don't know. Like 2 more years. It just felt right.
Yeah.
Couple years. Like, and not realizing people were going to actually hang on to that. Okay, 2 years up. Like, nah, I'm good. A couple more years. And I think LeBron is kind of talking through this in real time, because one thing he said that resonated to me is like, I have a lot of decisions to make, because it's like, okay, a lot of analysts have talked about, it's like, does he want to and willing to and have the want to continue to go through this, and maybe the teams aren't good enough to even make it to the conference finals. And be okay with that. Because like he said, this is not it. I'm not cool. I mean, I'm not happy we made it to the conference final. But it's to us, it is amazing what they did. But there again, it's that aspect of it, the aspect of wanting to play with his son. Somebody made a good point. Maybe he's realizing Bronny doesn't want to go through that. That's another. And I was like,
Well, and I think, and I'm glad you said that, because when I heard him say that, wanting to play with his son, my first impression was, oh no.
But it's just, it
You
depends.
as daddy, yes, you would be proud, I'm playing with my son. But now sit in the different seat, different vantage point, and think about what your son is going to go through when you do that.
You know who will be a great person? I'm thinking of two people immediately. I think of Ken Griffey Jr., who did play with his dad.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting, or it's cool. I mean, it's been documented about playing with his dad, how his dad enjoyed it, but Junior also enjoyed it. It was kind of a thing, but this is a different time.
It's a different time. Yes.
But still, it would be cool to, for LeBron to sit and talk to Griff and hear what he has to say. Now, I think of the other side, Doc Rivers' son.
Yes.
I think of Austin, who kind of went through a lot, playing for his dad and being in the league and this, that, and the fourth. And, Austin got traded. His dad traded him.
Right.
So, but it's just, it just depends. To me, it depends on the kid. Because I tell you what, Bronny, the way he handles himself is amazing. It's amazing, because it's a lot of pressure on him. And people are waiting, I think sometimes are waiting for him to crack.
Yes.
And just kind of no, because at one point they're like, oh man, he's not, and you can relate to this when I say this. Oh man, he's not like his dad. And that can send him left.
Yes.
And searching for something else, but Bronny as well as Melo's son, those two guys have been, because their dads were still killing it in the league. And now they're going through the circuit, and kids, like if I'm playing against, LeBron's kid or Carmelo's kid, I'm trying to get any advantage I can to dog you. Oh man, you're not as good. Whatever advantage. Like he has to go through that every time. Every time he goes on the road.
Yes.
I mean, it was like for me to go on the road in high school, but this is next level.
They have to be physically tough. They have to know the craft, and they've got to be mentally tough.
He is, yes, and I give him all the credit in the world, man. Yeah. Because it's just like he's scrutinized for his game. Is he top? And I was one of those guys like, all right, he deserves. Obviously, it's going to be you're LeBron's kid, so that's going to come with it. You're going to get the national attention. But if he's good enough, give him his just due. If he's not good enough, don't put him on just because. And I thought not only did he handle the McDonald's thing to like perfection, he made a lot of people say they made the right decision. And I say because I think he was out of the top 24 at the time, but they put him in, obviously, for obvious reason. But he showed up and showed out also.
Right.
So, so I'm happy for those guys. So I'm just curious about that. I just think about my experiences with retirement and just so many things to think about. And he being LeBron, who is still playing at an unbelievable level, has a lot to decide. So I saw a lot of that in that post game interview, and I was just curious if you saw that as well.
Yeah.
Do you think they should keep Austin Reaves, re-sign him?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think Rui Hachimura is another one.
He is an outstanding shooter. He's got that touch. But you know what else I like about him? I like that he picks his moments. He mixes it up. He knows he can get to the line. He can score in the paint, and he knows how to draw that foul. And then he's an excellent free throw shooter. I mean, yes, they to me they'd be crazy to let him go.
And then we can't. I'd be remiss if we do not talk about the Denver Nuggets. And I know a lot of Nuggets fans. I see you on Twitter when you guys are talking your junk. But the Nuggets fans, you have a reason to be proud. And I want to give this moment here to the Denver Nuggets and say this: under the radar all season, but still number one in the West, and you were able to prove and sustain it because after all that has been said about you, can they be the same team that they were in the regular season? And I think that's what people wanted to see before they just pushed all their chips into Denver. Yes, everybody kind of say, oh, the Phoenix Suns and Devin Booker, you're like, yes, I mean these guys are playing great. Devin Booker was playing unbelievable. Yes. They just did not have enough. But everybody's fascinated because of who Kevin Durant is. Like it just what it is. And then it was the Memphis Grizzlies and what would happen there. Then it's the Golden State Warriors. So there's a lot of teams that are historically has had success in the postseason. So it's like, okay, you never can count the Golden State Warriors out. You can't, regardless of all that happened. You still didn't count them out until you actually shut them out. Yeah. So Denver Nuggets are here. Now let's go back to the other side. You're a Miami girl and all of that. And the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat are battling it out. And what are your thoughts on what you've seen from the Miami Heat from regular season? Because I know we had this conversation when the Hawks beat the Miami Heat. We were like, man, they did not look good. Then all of a sudden, we get this. What are your thoughts on the Miami Heat?
Well, the battle is not the battle I thought we were going to see, number one. Disappointed in the Boston Celtics. They seem to not be playing with energy, effort, purpose. There's a pretty big purpose you should be playing with in this playoff. Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler. I just would say Jimmy Butler, bold, all caps, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, and his supporting cast, because you can't do it by yourself.
They've been great.
And they have grooved and jived and playing together, and I didn't even imagine. I thought the resistance that they would get from the Boston Celtics would have been greater.
Mm-hmm. This is a quick one. What run has impressed you more? Denver Nuggets or Miami Heat?
Miami Heat.
I think the same for me. It's just you never count Jimmy out. And Kyle Lyle's my guy. Don't count him out. He had injuries, and I think it started with him from his sacrifice from when he got injured and said, no, I'll come off the bench, let Gabe continue to start, and I'll work with the second unit. You know, his energy, the way he plays, was infectious from the beginning. And the Miami Heat, I got a chance to sit with Spoelstra and hearing him talk about how important Cal has been to their organization. But man, the empowerment. Listening to Gabe Vincent talk about the empowerment of the superstars, they're allowing those other guys, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Caleb Martin, allowing those guys to be themselves and go out there and get buckets and not feel hesitant when they're trying to go one-on-one or taking a shot and look over and like see if everybody's like, man, what you doing? Give me the ball. It's none of that. And I think when you get guys can play freely, you get this. You get this. And that's what they're doing, because their leader, man, their leader is playing off the charts, and Bam has responded too. I thought Bam would have to have a great series to help for the Miami Heat to do what they're doing, because if Bam was not playing well, Jimmy couldn't do it by himself.
Yeah. And think about this. If it's Miami, which it looks like it's going to be, and it's Denver, my hats on both coaches have
Spoelstra and Coach Mike Malone.
Coach Malone had to do a phenomenal job, because you talked about Denver and under the radar. We don't see him, East Coast drives to television. We don't see him a whole lot on television. But to keep them on a string, to keep them focused, to keep them not caring what anybody says, who counting us out, and da-da-da-da-da, and to continue to play the way they're playing. And look at what Spoelstra is doing with the Miami Heat. You got some strong personalities on that Miami Heat team. And that can go haywire.
Get in the way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yet it has not. But there again, I think it's Jimmy Butler being the leader, not afraid to say what he needs to say, and Kyle Lowry as well. So that's going to be a good final. I think.
This is one for me that I've been hearing people talk about. Do you think the Boston Celtics should break up the Tatum Brown tandem duo, if you choose? Do you think Boston should break up the Tatum Brown duo?
People ask that question, and my question is, I know you don't answer a question with a question, but my question would be why? I mean, give me your reasoning for asking that question. Why?
See, to me, I think it's more of the player. What does not even Tatum? What does Jaylen Brown want? Because what is he looking for? Like as he moves forward, because he can make the most money with Boston. They've accomplished a lot. Yes, they've fallen short, but they've made that tandem work, because he's been just as important to Boston as their superstar Tatum. When Tatum has not played bad, guess who has saved the day? Guess who was playing the best? Yeah. Jaylen Brown. And he didn't feel like he was hindered by any means to go out there and do his thing, because Jayson Tatum has allowed him, and he understands how important he is. So I think it's Jaylen Brown who has to figure out what does he want now. And it kind of reminds me of the T-Mac thing. It was kind of like everybody's like, they felt that T-Mac and I should have stayed together. And yeah, obviously we that's family, but I hoped so as well. But I understood him moving forward, because he wanted to be the number one. He wanted to be the guy to make the decisions and have another guy to go for it. And we can't hate him for that. Like, we as fans kind of want, we want what we want. It's like, oh man, but y'all are good together. We're great together. Like, yeah. And hearing T-Mac talk about it now, it's like, man, it'd have been good. Sometimes I wish we did stay together. But what T-Mac accomplished, he felt mentally it was the best decision for him to come out of his shell to be the Hall of Famer that he is now. Like, because we're making this assumption or assessment off of the T-Mac we saw that moved on. You know,
Right.
when he got to Orlando, he was a monster.
A monster.
Like,
Yes.
and then when he got to Houston, like he was like insane. So people are like, dang, if Vince like doing what he's doing and Mac doing what he's doing, like, and it was like he had to go, kind of like what LeBron did. He had to go to Miami to learn how to win and grow,
Right.
and came back to Cleveland. It's kind of that situation. Well, thank you again, guys. Go check out the book, pre-order it, do what you got to do. It's gonna be in everywhere, not just local libraries. It's gonna actually be on Amazon. She's gonna be in you gonna be in Walgreens. Look at you, you're gonna be everywhere. You go, girl. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys. VC Show fans, we're signing off. Let's go.